Uy, congratulations! Graduate na siya. Grabe, first cum laude in the family. I am so proud of you. These are just some remarks that we may have received over the past few days. And today, we sit here finally wearing our Filipinas and barongs, carrying our hard-earned alampais, joined by our loved ones, surrounded by friends and classmates, with full smiles on our faces, showing the pride and joy we feel deep down inside. But along this momentous occasion and our overflowing happiness, most, if not all of us, wonder and ask, after all the celebrations, all the cheers and accolades, all the photos we took and we will take, where are we headed next? Today is a day of celebration. It is a day we have envisioned and looked forward to for years. A day marked by our alampais, medals, photographs, embraces from loved ones, and the culmination of countless hours spent in classrooms, libraries, laboratories, organizations, and spaces that have become part of who we are. Yet, amid all the celebration, I suspect that many of us are carrying the same quiet question. What comes next? Tomorrow, the rehearsals will end, the ceremonies will conclude, the photographs will be uploaded, the congratulatory messages will slowly fade from our notifications. And then what? For some, there are jobs waiting. For others, maybe graduate school. But for many, what is waiting is uncertainty. The uncertainty of tomorrow, the uncertainty of our success, the uncertainty of life. Perhaps that uncertainty feels unsettling because while we are studying during our lower years, we often imagine graduation as the moment when everything finally becomes clear. But as we powered through the years and finally reached the point we are at now, the realization slowly sets in. Graduation marks only the end of one beautiful chapter of our academic journey and the beginning of a new arc still left for us to explore and navigate. A new chapter, a new horizon, a road we have yet to map. And with this comes the doubt and the fear, that feeling of uncertainty. Many of us do not know where to go. Ano na bang gagawin natin bukas? Saan na tayo papunta? Yung pangarap nating buhay, kaya ba nating maabot talaga? If we are to think about it, the future is indeed scary. What we achieve today is not a guarantee of what tomorrow will bring. We do not know where our degrees will take us, whether toward the future we planned or toward one we never imagined. Thinking about all these is worrisome, and it doesn't help when our questions continue to pile up and all are just left unanswered. That is maybe why the feeling of uncertainty makes us feel afraid. But as I reflected on our journey, I realized something. Why would we be suddenly afraid of uncertainty when uncertainty has been with us every step of the way? 4 years ago, or maybe five or more, before we became students of Bicol University, many of us stood at a crossroads. We chose degree programs without fully knowing where they would lead. Some of us entered programs that were our first choice. Others entered programs that were not. Some of us already had our futures mapped out. Others were simply hoping to find our place. Yet, despite not having all the answers, we took the first step. And that first step changed everything. I vividly remember that time in 2022, right after graduating from senior high school. I finished ABM as my strand, and just like most of my classmates then, I was eyeing accountancy as my degree program for college. Not because it was my dream, but because it was, let's just say, the crowd favorite for ABM students. I had my path already planned and laid out for me back then, and everything was going smoothly. I got admitted to universities for the program, and I was ready to take on the challenge and journey to become a CPA. But then came an opportunity that was hard for me to resist, a scholarship that promised me financial security, which would ensure that I finished my college education. I was already an overthinker back then, and even then, I was afraid of life's uncertainties. So I clung to what I felt was sure. I ended up prioritizing the scholarship over the program I planned to take. I had to switch degree programs, and that is why I am standing here before you today as a computer science graduate. And so there I was, a freshly enrolled computer science student, still adjusting, still finding my footing. And then life handed me something no one could have prepared me for. In the middle of my first year, my father passed away. Suddenly, unexpectedly. And just like that, another plan fell apart. Because we had a plan for today too. Not just for after graduation, but for this very moment. I had always imagined it that it would be my father who would walk up here. That after years of it always being my mother at every recognition, every moving up, every milestone, today would finally be his turn. The big one, the college graduation. I had it all planned out in my head. But life, as I have come to learn, does not always honor our plans. He is not here today, not in the way I imagined, not in the way I wanted. And I will not pretend that does not hurt. But here is what I also know. That scholarship I almost did not take, the one that pulled me away from the path I had carefully laid out, became one of the greatest mercies of my life. Because none of us knew. None of us could have known that the person I was building my future alongside would suddenly no longer be here to see it unfold. And yet, somehow, I am still here, still standing, still finishing what I started. Because of a mother who never stopped showing up. Because of siblings who held me when the weight became too heavy. Because of professors and classmates and quiet moments inside this university that slowly, steadily reminded me that I was not alone. And because of him, my father, whose absence taught me something his presence always tried to tell me, that life is uncertain, that tomorrow is not promised, that the plan is never really the point. The point is that we keep on going anyway. And we do not keep going alone. Because every graduate sitting here in these grounds today is a constellation of people who made sure we got here. To our families, our very first and most constant lights, the ones who showed up at every recognition, every milestone, every quiet moment of doubt that no one else saw. Whether they are seated in this audience today or watching from somewhere we can no longer reach, their presence in our lives made us who we are. To our friends who walked into our lives unexpectedly and never quite left, who sat beside us through impossible deadlines, sleepless nights, and the kind of laughter that makes everything feel survivable. To our professors and mentors who pushed us beyond what we thought we were capable of, who saw potential in us even when we could not see it in ourselves. And to our classmates, my fellow graduates, who were never just background characters in each other's lives. We were each other's constellations. We lit the way for one another, even when we did not know we were doing it. These alampais we wear today, they carry more than our names. They carry every person who believed in us enough to keep us going. And if we are being truly honest about who carried us here, we cannot stop at the people we know by name. Because somewhere beyond these grounds, there are people who contributed to this moment without ever knowing our names either. Farmers, drivers, workers, families who may never set foot inside a university, but whose taxes built the classrooms we sat in, funded the scholarships we relied on, and made it possible for students like us to be here today. The Filipino people gave us this education, and that is not a small thing. That is a sacred trust. And so, as we step into whatever comes next, I hope we carry that with us too. May we be graduates who remember where we came from, who give back more than we were given, who make the investment of every Filipino taxpayer worth it. And perhaps that is why when I think about the future now, I think about it differently. So when people ask us, where are you headed next? Perhaps the most honest answer is, we do not know yet. And perhaps that is not something to fear. Because when we look back on the roads that brought us here, how many of them did we actually see coming? The degree programs we ended up choosing, the people who became part of our lives, the opportunities that changed us, the challenges that nearly broke us, the moments that taught us who we are. Very few of them arrived according to plan. And yet, somehow, they became some of the most meaningful parts of our story. Today, we stand at another crossroads, not with all the answers, not with every step already mapped out, but with something that may matter even more. The knowledge that we have been here before, that we have faced uncertainty before, and that every time it asked us to take a step forward without guarantees, we found the courage to do so. So, whatever waits us beyond these gates, beyond the pillars of Bicol University, whether it resembles the future we imagined or something entirely different, I hope we welcome it with open hearts. If there is one thing my journey has taught me, it is that the roads we never intended to take sometimes lead us exactly where we need to be. And some of the most beautiful chapters begin as pages we never intended to write. To the class of 2026 of Bicol University, congratulations to us all. Maraming salamat po at muli magandang hapon po sa ating lahat.